I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Welcome, everybody, to the Idle and Blessed podcast, which is a podcast about how we use our time. And I'm going to introduce my good friend Courtney, who in turn is going to introduce our guest on this podcast. Courtney.
Hello. We are just starting this podcast in a formal way, but David and I have been having these conversations for a long time, and we're fascinated by what people do with their time when they work and what they do with their time when they're more at rest or how they relax. So today we're talking to my good and very old friend, almost family member, I would say family member, Nicola Biscardo from Verona, and he is in Verona today, I believe. Is that right, Nicola?
It is. I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Okay. And so just to get us started, will you tell us a little bit about how, I guess there's two different lanes here. One is tell us a little bit about your origin story of your work and what you do and who you are. And also maybe it would be interesting to David and everybody else how you and I met each other, because we've known each other a very long time. So tell us a little bit about you.
So, well, first, once again, I'm super flattered to be here with you guys in this first episode. So I'm very, very flattered. Thank you so much for having me here. So, nothing really that interesting about me or my life. I am, and you can stop me anytime because I tend to talk too much. I am from Verona, Italy, the city of Romeo and Juliet, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful city we have in Italy. And I was lucky enough to be born in a family of winemakers. Verona is famous for his wine. The most important wine from Verona is called Amarone. And I am the fourth generation in the wine business. My great-grandfather started it in 1876 or 78. I never get it right. And so, yeah, that's pretty much me. I was born into this business. I always say I take a lot of credit for things that I haven't done because I was born into this business. And the way we met, as you said, you just make me realize, Courtney, how old I am. We met we met long ago. Your kids, they were not even there, and now they're getting to college. So it's scary. So basically, during one of my many visit in the US market to promote my wines, I was in Seattle working with my distributor, and at the time, Courtney, you were working for the distributor, and so we start to spend a lot of time knocking at doors and convincing customers that our wine were the best wine in Valpolicella. And that's what wine is all about. Wine is about relationship and lifestyle. So it's easy to become a friend when you have a that is so strong and so real and so alive.
Great.
Beautiful.
Great introduction. Great start.
It is, and I've just got to say as well, Nicola, that we've got to an age now when we say old friend, we are very aware that we might be saying an older person, but we really mean a long-standing friend. A friend of many years.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like a very good wine.
But in this case, actually, Courtney, we were so young. And
yes.
So actually, old friend works both ways. I have a problem with my age. Anyway, that's another long conversation for the next podcast.
We'll have you back for another episode about that.
Exactly.
Perfect. But to that point, that progressed from the time in Seattle, and then I got married, and Nicola met my husband, and he started coming and selling his wine in Idaho, and we would make these wonderful dinners and just have lots of fun together, all of us. And then my kids came along, and they got to know him, and now he's Zio, and then he got married, and we went to Italy for his wedding. So it's really been a
Wow.
very lovely, long story. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely,
beautiful.
yes. Very, very long. You came for your honeymoon in our place in Tuscany, then you came for my wedding. So it's been really, I do consider myself part of the family. That's no
Very,
question about.
very
It's
accurate.
really,
Yes.
it's a pleasure and an honor.
Yes, and vice
Yeah.
versa. So, David, where should we take our conversation from here, do you think? What questions can we ask Nicola about his work and how it
Ye-
relates to what we're talking about?
Well, there's a particular thing. I mean, there's a couple of words I've already written down, and everybody who's listening to this is the first time I've met Nicola, so he's fresh to me as he is fresh to you. But, when you were saying generational, I think that is something that Courtney and I are both fascinated in, particularly working with many organizations who do not have generations. They have old job titles that have since passed on to other people, but there's no sense of the family there. And when you said that wine is actually about relationship and lifestyle, that really resonated with me. But I'm curious, was there any time you said you were born into the family business? Was there any moment where you thought, no, I'm not actually, I'm going to go out, I'm going to be a management consultant like my friend Courtney or something like that? Or was it always inevitable that
Uh,
you would stay?
Absolutely, yes. As a matter of fact, yes. In a sense that when I grew up, getting growing up, the family has been in the business for over a century already. So
No.
the family also developed in other area. The wine business is the core business of the family, but then, we invested in other fields. So I had a number of opportunity. That's why I'm
Mm.
so grateful to my family. And I did take everything else into consideration. Plus, one of the family member, one of the brother of my grandfather, was a pilot, was an airplane pilot.
Right.
And but we're talking about the 1920s, when at the dawn of the aviation. So it was a kind of a mythological figure, a person that I never met. He died long before I came into the picture, of course. And but I always say that aviator spirit run in my veins, and it's always been my dream to fly, to be a pilot. But I was born with a defect in my eye, one of my two eye. I don't have very good sight on one of my eye. And when I grew up, if you want to join the aviation in Italy, you have to have the perfect body. So you have to have like a perfect vision, blah blah blah. And so my dream has always been wings and stars. So um, be able to fly and even join Elon Musk and go to Mars if possible. So it was, yes, of course, how do you call it, adolescent's dream. Um, then remaining more with the feet on the ground, literally, I always was always involved with every aspect of the wine because, as
Mhm.
I said, winemaking is a lifestyle. We are direct growers, which means that we don't purchase grape. We grow our own grape and we make our own wine. So the connection with the soil, with the field, with Mother Nature is something that you live on a daily basis. I actually, one of the other business of the family was furnishing booths at the exhibition center. So my father and my mom opened this company to furnish booths at the exhibition center for people that want to exhibit whatever the business was. So I
Mhm.
was involved with that for a while. And then at college, just because uh, just because, I guess, I decided to do political science. I thought that Italy was in much need of good and honest politicians. Then getting more and more close to my degree, I realized that I didn't have the perfect character for politics. You have to be ready to compromise a lot. And I'm not me, my wife, my life is more like a black and white as much as I try to see the different shades of gray. Um, I realized that I'm no, I'm not a good character for politics. For politics, so grape growing has always been my passion, and wine has always been a passion. So I decided to, and traveling. I wanted to travel a lot. I wanted to speak English, travel the world, and I joined in the mid 90s when the world was still relatively big. There
Yes.
was no internet, no cell phones, no GPS, no internet communication. So when you were taking off to fly overseas, I didn't, I'm not saying that you have to write the wheel, but you were really living. You were leaving mom and girlfriends and friends behind, and you were taking off, and that was something that always challenged me, and I wanted to do something international, and so be the ambassador of my wines was something that I found much more appealing that staying home and furnish booths and at the exhibition center. So,
I hear you.
Well,
but
Terrific.
there are more money. I'm telling you, there are more money in furnishing booths at the exhibition center
it's
than in
always the way it
wine.
is. Always the way it is.
Yeah.
Nicola, I talk a little bit about, please, your the connection of your wines and winery to all the other wines and wineries you work with, because it's not just yours that you represent. It's much, much,
Yes.
much wider than that, and that's even a really interesting family story and has a lot to do with story. So, can you say more about and whatever you'd like about that?
Absolutely. Because, yes, I always say that there is, to say wine business is an oxymoron because there is nothing farther more than business from wine. Like people involved in wine from both making it and also like retail and restaurants, they are so far from being professional. Like it's a really messed up situation. Um, I'm telling you, it's crazy. But yeah, I would say that back in the 80s, my father had a very brilliant idea. Once again, not my credit, not my merit. Um, there is a particular system in the United States for for alcohol. It's called the three-tier system, meaning that you need three different licenses in order to move wine from point A to point B. So you need to have an importing license to bring the wine from Italy into the United States. Then you need an wholesale license to distribute the wine to retail and restaurant. And then you need a retail license to be able to purchase this wine and finally sell it to the final consumer. In Italy, we do not have the three-tier system. Anybody can buy wine anytime they want, directly from the winery, directly from the source, with no problem. So when my father came into the US market, he found it really complicated and complex, and he noticed how the the distance, the huge distance between him and his final customer, making the wine more expensive. So he had a brilliant idea. He thought, if I become the importer of myself and the wholesaler of myself, I cut the middleman out and I go directly to my consumers, to my customers. Well, it's not very legal to do it, so it's not something that you can actually do, but um, you can actually be the importer of yourself. So in 1987, he started his own importation in the US, and we were the first self imported winery in the United States, which was very adventurous, again, with the technology available at the time, which were the telex machine, like in the Second World War, like ta 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 ta. It was like
Yeah,
I still
I
remember the
remember.
sound of the telex when I was a kid. And then, of course, this was something that we could not do by ourselves. So my father called five of his dear friends, one guy from Friuli, one guy from Trentino Alto Adige, one from Piedmont, one from Tuscany, and another guy from Marche region. We were the guy from Veneto. And so he said, guys, why don't we just get together? We're from different regions, so our wine don't compete each other, but they complement each other. And so we put some money and we opened this company. And that's how they started. And then 35 years later, now we have 35 wineries and two distilleries into the group.
Wow.
Now, I want to make clear, I do not own 35 wineries, but we join into this concept. And so when I am in the United States, I'm not just the ambassador of my own family wine. I am the ambassador of those 35 different families, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah,
Right.
beautiful.
And related to that, will you say something a little more about there's a big difference. This is one big thing I've learned from you. There's a big, big difference between how big wine is produced commercially, and really the removal of the person on a certain level when it's produced in huge batches because it's so mechanized and measured and so many things added to it versus how it's done with the wineries you work with. I remember that all the wineries you work with are family owned or small boutique. So there's a big difference between, I don't think a lot of people understand the massive difference in the human connection between the two businesses.
Absolutely. Yes. That's a very good point. And we can open the Pandora vase right here, but it's absolutely yes. There is a huge difference between what I call commercial wine and what I call artisanal wine. There is, and here I drop the bomb, the first of the many bombs of the day. There is an expression that, in my opinion, has been absolutely abused, which is natural wine. I don't like this expression. I think it's very abused and is very misleading. And every time I do a wine dinner or I do a seminar in front of people, I always say there is nothing natural in wine. Wine is not a natural product. Starting from a vineyard, the vineyard is not natural and the wine is not natural. Nature gives you vinegar, gives you a lot of vinegar, but does not give you wine. And this is the reason why I find wine extremely fascinating, because wine is actually a joint venture, is a cooperation between the field, Mother Nature, and human ingenuity. Without human being, there is no wine on the table. There is vinegar on the table. And that's why I don't want to take the human aspect away. And I think that actually the human aspect legitimizes the wine more and makes people better understanding why wine is a form of art and why wine is so appealing and why people talk so much about wine, because there is a huge human factor. Having said that, wine is a product. And as any other product, there are different ways of making it. There is an industrial way to make it, and there is an artisanal way of making it. So, from an industrial level, winemaking is science, is absolutely science. And in the last 30 years, the science in wine escalate as much as in any other field, technology escalate, but also in wine. That's why the best way I describe it is that, oh, well, you need to be making wine for 3,000 years, you make wine better than others. I'm like, no, really. It took 5 million years of evolution to go from walking into the first flight.
Yeah.
And then in 60 years, we went 60, 60, we went from the first flight into landing on the moon. What I mean by that? I mean that now that winemaking is a science and we understand the biology of wine, the microbiology, we know everything, we don't have to rewrite the book every time. If somebody goes to winemaking school and follow the rules, as soon as you find a good soil, a good terroir, and you put yourself into it with good knowledge, you can make good wine everywhere. It's not that you cannot, as much as you can build a plane everywhere if you have good engineering. So now you cannot make excellent wine in every single soil because wine is a joint venture. There is the human factor, but there is also Mother Nature and the soil, the terroir, which is very important. But you can make great wine everywhere. Now, I've been digressing a little bit. Let's go back to the principle. Commercial wine versus artisanal wine. Nowadays, we know exactly what happened. In a nutshell, what is a wine? My favorite definition of wine is a humankind interfering over a natural process that gives you vinegar. Long story short, you take a grape, you take fruit, grape, and grape inside has water and sugar, right? So, in a nutshell, winemaking means the yeast, there are those little microorganisms, they eat the sugar and they poop alcohol, and they transform grape juice into wine. But period. You can make this at the artisanal scale or at an industrial scale. The difference is the biggest is the production, the more grape become one of the ingredients. Should be the only ingredient, but then in order to scale up and make hundreds of thousands or millions of bottles, there is not one piece of field that can provide a limited number of bottles. It means that you have to source the grape from many fields in order to have enough grape to make a lot of bottles. And that is an industrial product, because then you need to give a style to that wine. You need a bottle number 1 taste exactly like bottle number 1,000,000. And so there is a lot of technique, a lot of technology, a lot of chemics involved. Or there is the artisanal way of winemaking, which the entire focus of the winemaker is the field. The only focus is the grape. And that grape, you squeeze it, and you, like a kid, you just nurture it, you follow it, you make sure it doesn't kill itself in the first 5-10 years of life. You have to say, watch the car, be careful, don't put your hands in the electric system, don't kill yourself. And you nurture it so that human being, that wine can express the best potential. And that's the artisanal way. And that's why each one of our winery is a direct growers. We grow on our own grape, we make our own wine. Good, healthy grape, if you don't, forgive my French, fuck it up, gives you good, healthy wine. Then, unfortunately, it's not black and white like this, because between the commercial wineries and the artisanal wineries, there is a lot of gray area in between of, I drop another bomb, prostitutes that want to look like Virgin Mary, and but it doesn't work like that. So there are other wineries that pretend to be small and boutiquey, and instead they're huge and massive. But again, I don't want to be misunderstood. There is a lot of very good wine, like meaning pleasurable wine to enjoy, even at commercial level. Absolutely. Again, the technology is amazing. I love technology. The thing is, if you want to do something, I've been talking way too much. Let's condense it into, I always say there are cheap wine, there are good wine, and there are emotional wines.
Mm.
So the cheap wine are the one that have very few flavors, and if you drink just a glass too many, you're gonna wake up with a headache the next day. I always recommend people to stay away from those. Then there are the good wine, that are the wine that makes your palate happy, makes your soul happy, helps your digestion, enjoyable, casual, fun wine. And then there are emotional wines. And those emotional wines are the ones that are able to give you goosebumps. And they really take you, they open flavors, they unlock boxes that they make you travel in time and in places. And to get to that level, you gotta be a good winemaker. But not only good winemaker, you also have to have the good vineyard in a good spot. You can be the best winemaker in the world. Okay, I've been talking way too much. I have another things I want to say, but
But
ask me a question and then I will.
well,
Because otherwise I talk for like 10 hours. And
yeah, we'll just keep recording. So I do have a question that takes you on a tangent of that, which is we were talking about use of time, and I'm reflecting on how a bottle of Amarone is experienced at a table, because that is a very interesting capsule of a use of time. Because it's often opened before while other things are still being enjoyed at the table. The bottle never leaves the table, and there's a reason for that until everyone's done drinking it. So can you explain the cycle of opening a bottle of Amarone to enjoying it, and why the time part of that is important?
Thank you for the question. I hope you realize that every question that you ask me, they require 3 to 4 hours.
I know this about you. I've known you a long time.
I think this is a podcast series, actually.
Yes,
This is just the...
It's all right. To guest one of one who shows up every 2 or 3 weeks. Okay.
Yeah, exactly right. There we go.
Yes. But this is a very interesting thing I've also learned from you. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to be as brief and as understandable as possible, because there are books, literally books, that talk about this. Time is a huge factor in the wine business, is a huge factor in the wine making. It takes time for this process of fermentation to happen, and especially it takes time for the wine to develop the flavor that are hidden inside. Then when it comes to aging wine, it takes time for the wine to really put all the pieces together. The best way I try to explain it to people that are not in the business, that are approaching wine for the first time, I always say, think about wine as a pitcher. Actually, as a pitcher that is being knocked down in a puzzle. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The bigger is the pitcher, the more pieces in the puzzle, the more detailed the final picture is, the more beautiful the frame puzzle is. But at the same time, it takes longer time to put all the pieces in the right place. That's exactly what wine is all about. If you really want to create a beautiful paint, a beautiful picture, you have to put so many pieces together, and that takes time. Also, once you open the box of the puzzle is already into the box. So it takes the same time, not the same, but it takes still time to really to put the pieces together and be able to enjoy those pieces. Let's see if I can say it even better. I always say, imagine you need to deliver a message on TV, commercial. You can have a commercial or you can have a movie. Obviously, movies are more entertaining and more fun than commercial. However, there are very brilliant, amazing commercial on TV. There are the boring one, there are the obnoxious one, but there are also the one that are very engaging, brilliant, and you're actually enjoying looking at them. But a commercial only has 30 seconds of stream time, and in 30 seconds, the producer needs to give you exactly what you need to know about that product. It needs to be engaging, needs to be rememberable, and needs to deliver the message. And it takes only 30 seconds. And there are wine like that. There are fun, easy drinking, everyday wine that are brilliant. You pull the cork, the wine jumps out of the glass immediately with all those perfumes. They are engaging, they are fun, and they entertain you for 30 seconds. Or you can enjoy a beautiful movie. And the movie gives you emotion, takes you inside a story, makes you travel, makes you fantasize. You can identify with the character. It's much more fun to watch. But you need to allow yourself 2 hours. You cannot watch a movie in 30 seconds. So we say, take your best movie, your favorite movie, and watch that movie on fast forward. The movie is great, but you're not going to enjoy it. You just watch it on fast forward. You need to sit back, relax, and let the movie unfold in front of your eyes. Same thing is with great wines. If you open a very big, a very structured, a very complex wine, you just want to let the wine the time to unfold and entertain you. It will entertain you, but you gotta allow the time to do it. So there are a number of chemical reactions that happen that always involve oxygen, so that the wine can combine with the oxygen. I don't want to make it a chemical lecture, but the wine breathe, we say, and so the wine combine with oxygen and release and reveal little by little all those flavors. The more layers are in the bottle, the more time the wine will take to deliver it, but also the more the wine will become engaging. The more pieces are into that box, the more time it takes to put all the frame together, but at the same time, you're having so much fun playing with your puzzle. So that's the best way I describe and the Amarone, excuse me, Amarone is the king wine from Valpolicella, is a wine that it takes a minimum of 3 years to make, but is that bare legal time to make an Amarone. Good Amarones, they go between 5 and 10 years before we actually release them. So it takes so much time to develop those flavors, and therefore the wine is really able, if you let them, able to really engage your nose. And when I describe a wine, I say, oh my God, you can feel tobacco, chocolate, caramel, cherries, plums, licorice, prunes, figs. And sometimes people look at me like I'm weird, like, are you using all those fruits? No. We only use grape. It's the magic of wine, is the during the fermentation and the aging that the wine develop all those flavors and gift us with these amazing sensations.
So remind us of, I've been at several of these tables, but explain to David how it looks when you're sitting at a winemaker dinner and the Amarone is open. And like, what is that sequence of time? Just to open the bottle and then utilize the bottle, and what's the tradition of that?
There was an old rule of thumb, which is not valid anymore, of course, that says 1 hour of decanter per year of aging. It's absolutely not necessarily anymore. But yeah, every wine benefit from aeration. So opening a bottle in advance is actually a good thing to do. When it comes to a wine as complex as an Amarone or a Barolo or a Brunello or a Barbaresco, for that regard, or many others in Italy, but Bordeaux, Burgundy, whatever. You want to wait, if possibly, between half an hour to an hour before you enjoy it. Now, people says, oh, we don't have time. I'm like, what you have to do? Like, honestly, what the fuck you need to do? Like, really, you're here, you're sitting down at the table, you're enjoying amazing people, you're enjoying good food and good conversation. What is that you need to do? Just relax. You need to go sleep. You have to watch Netflix. What is that you need to like? Let the wine be your entertainer for tonight. Now, if you you can actually open a bottle of Amarone and pour it directly in your glass and start enjoying it. But I always say you're really going to get the best out of that wine when the wine is gone. You want to keep the wine between your nose and your lips as long as possible. That's the thing that drives me nuts. People do not spend enough time with their nose. This is a podcast, you don't see me, but I have a huge nose. I was not born with this nose. I was born with a normal nose. And then I keep smelling at the wine and my nose gets longer and longer and longer. You want to play with your nose. Let the wine breathe. Enjoy the perfume. 85% of what you taste is not what you taste, is actually what you smell. I always say, if you close your eyes and you close your nose, you won't be able to identify a white wine from a red wine. And this is because it's all about the nose. It's all about the nerves. I don't know how to say in English. La mucosa that you have up here on the nose that gives you all the flavors, all the perfumes. The mouth gives you sweet, sour, salt, and bitter, and the touch feeling. That's what the tongue actually is able to do it. Everything else is all the nose that reveal all those amazing perfumes and flavors. So if you have at least 30 minutes of time when you open a big bottle of Amarone, that's a great thing. Now, there are also some instruments today that you can use. You can use a decanter. A decanter is a very weird shaped bottle that has a huge surface, so the wine is more exposed to oxygen. So that speed up the process a little bit. You can use an aerator. There are, I call it, I don't know what to say in English. I call it the torturing machine. Of course, for a wine, it's like slapping the wine in the face. But if you run the Amarone through an aerator and then you give 20 minutes, half an hour for those pieces to go back together, you save yourself a good hour and a half of breathing time. And then just put the wine in the glass, in the big, large glass. Give yourself a generous 2.5 fingers so that the wine can breathe, because every single glass is an aerator. And you just swirl the wine and let the wine talk to you.
And a last thing on that subject, why do you leave an empty bottle on the table? If you poured the wine in everybody's glass and there's an empty bottle, why leave it on the table instead of throwing it away while everybody's drinking the wine?
That was my grandfather best how do you say lesson. Never take a bottle away from a wine. It's like taking a woman away from his man. We always say behind a great man there is always a great woman. I always say behind and in front of a great man there is always a great woman, because the wine is the treasure, right? The wine is the magic liquid, is the golden liquid, but it's so precious that we need a safe, and the safe of the wine is the bottle. If the wine comes with its own integrity to the table, it's thanks to a bottle that was able to jealously nurture the wine, protect the wine, and so the bottle deserves the same kind of attention, and the cork as well. You always leave on the table the bottle and the cork, because that's the reason why that quality came from my field to your table. That's the romantic aspect. Plus, in my opinion, a table with many empty bottles is much more joyful and looks much better than an empty table. Now, this was my grandfather's golden rule. That rule was the rule if we go back in time a little bit, because the bottle is also the ID of the wine. The bottle carries the label, and the label is your passport, is the ID of the wine. The label tells what are you drinking, where the wine is from, and who made it. So it's really the ID. When was born, who made it, and where. So it's important, and people can always refer. So what is this? What I have in the glass? I put in this liquid into my body. It's a lot of trust that I do right now because I'm having this into my system. So I want to see who made it, when he made it, and where it's from. So that was the technical reason. And the reason why the cork must always be on the table, yes, because the cork can ruin the wine. And so if the cork did a good job, I think romantically that it should share the stage. But technically was a rule in the Middle Age to prevent from fraud. I leave the cork there as a testament that the wine has been opened on my table, has not been tampered with. You say tampered with?
Tampered with,
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's not been tampered with. And in the past, the customers were taking the cork into their pocket and leaving the restaurant with a cork. So the restaurateur, the restaurant owner, could not refill the bottle and put the cork back in. It was to prevent frauds. So bottle and cork always on the table.
I love it.
Ah, wonderful. I just know that all I want to do with my time this week, Courtney, is to get on a plane to Verona. That's what I tell you.
Come over.
Well, let's make that happen at some point. Yeah, beautiful. So just one, and we're rounding out the conversation here, Nicola. Going to the idea of this, is it a collective of 35 vineyards and 2 distilleries? Do you call it an organization, an agreement, or?
It's an agreement more than anything else, because every winery is absolutely independent.
Yeah.
We have nothing to do one another other than we really like each other, we respect, and we have the same philosophy in the winemaking, which means what I call low intervention wines. Golden rule number 1, you grow your grapes. So 100% estate grown fruit. Each one of us, we all follow either organic. Sustainability is our polar star, right? Our northern star. So organic, biodynamic, regenerative agriculture, sustainability 360 degrees. Rule number 1. Rule number 2, low intervention, meaning that we don't make the wine fixing chemically what is missing. We just give an interpretation of the soil and of the vintage. Vintage absolutely matters. I always say, when come to small producer like us, that we give an interpretation of the vintage, I always say, I don't have bad vintages. Now, I am a little bit arrogant when I say that. But I always say, good producer do not have bad vintages. We have complicated vintages or easy vintages. What I mean by that, if you own your own vineyards and you only make the wine with the grape coming within the limits of your vineyards, you have been doing it for generations. You literally know by name each vine. You know literally what is underneath the roots of every single vine. So knowing that, that's a huge baggage of knowledge that you have. It's a huge advantage that winemakers that have purchased grape don't know, because you buy from here, you buy from there, you buy from there. you will know the chemical analysis of the grape, and you make the wine based on that. While wineries at our scale, we're not the only one, there are so many around the world, everywhere in the world, is all about within the slope, where do I pick this grape? In the lower part, in the midsection, in the upper north corner, in the lower east corner. So we know that the grape coming from the different section have different elements inside that the vine absorb from the ground and put it into the grape. And with that, we know how to make a great wine. And the least you do, the better it is at the end. Now, I always say, technology is very important and knowledge is very important. We are not guessing. There is no guessing in the winemaking. We can talk about the romance of it as much as you want. And here I go back with the second Barbados bullshit natural wine. If you think that you can just get a bunch of grape, throw it into a barrel, and come back in a year or two and you get good wine, that's absolutely a myth. Is again, you're gonna get great vinegar if you're lucky, but you're not gonna get wine. So you need knowledge. But I always say knowledge to do less instead of knowledge to fix things. If you know, you don't have to interfere, you don't have to intervene, but you need to know. You need to know extremely well. How can you educate a son if you have nothing to teach, if you don't know anything? The smarter you are, the better you are, most likely the smarter are your kids. But you can have a bad vintage. So you can put as much effort as you can. You can be the smartest parents, and you have a dumbass criminal growing up. I don't know.
David and I both got lucky. We both got lucky.
You gotta be lucky. You also have to be. There is a good portion of good luck that you need to have.
Nicola, what do you think is the most important thing we can learn, or we can help our listeners learn from the traditions of your country, your family, and your business? I know it's a big question, but I mean, select any small part of that will be, I'm sure, a good answer.
That's a big question. Very philosophical.
What's one of the most important things? The most important thing that comes to mind today, and then we'll definitely have you back and have another conversation.
Coming from wine?
Coming from your country, coming from your work, and coming from traditions. What would you say? What's one piece of advice you would offer? One thing we can learn?
Okay, I'll be very philosophical right now, because I would say there is a philosopher behind every winemaker. I think that a huge part of who I am is where I'm from. So Italy, in this case. And I think that you actually nailed the key word at the beginning, time. Time is very important, but time is very tricky because it is not unlimited. And that's the most beautiful thing about time. Time is unlimited itself, but the one that we have is not unlimited. So using time wisely is the most important thing. The thing is also the fact that, in my opinion, traditions are very important. And that's why time is so important. Traditions are important, and tradition comes with time. And we don't have to take anything for granted. And I think that is one of the problems that we have today, is the fact that people think, I got to do fast because time is limited. I don't have enough time, instead of enjoying the time. And wine is a good time machine. And wine forces you to go on a different pace. And going on a different pace does not mean to waste time. It means know your origin, know your tradition, rediscover those traditions, and don't think that Rome was built in a day.
Hmm.
Yeah, Rome was not built in a day. But the thing is, we tend to forget uh, that Rome was not built in a day. And I think that the best thing that the tourists get when they come to Italy, if they allow themselves the time, is to really understand that to really enjoy something, you need to slow down a little bit.
Mm.
I promise that I will shut up in a second, but
We invited you to speak, Nicola. You're fine.
I watched this a reel, this interview on I don't know if it was Instagram or Facebook, or anyway, I would this interview of a very smart guy. It was an American person, was in English, and I don't ask me the name, I don't remember. Was an entrepreneur, a very successful one, like a millionaire, and he said something that really struck me. He said one of the biggest mistakes is that they teach the kids that they can do whatever they want. As soon as they put so much effort, they will succeed in anything they do. Look for your passion. Look for your passion. Follow your passion. And he said, that's the worst thing you can tell to a kid. Look for your talent. Do the thing that you can do best. So then, with the money you make, with something you know how to do, then you can go and do what is your passion. Now, if you're so lucky that your passion is also your job, good for you. You got lucky. But he was saying, my favorite things to do are not my business. I became a millionaire, and with those money, busting my ass every day doing something that I don't really like to do, but I'm very good at, then I can use that money and that time that I was able to acquire following my passion. I think that people should go back to that. Use the time wisely and enjoy the time. Work your ass off so then you can enjoy quality time. That's it. I think I achieved the highest point of my philosophy right now.
Best point I've ever heard. I'll just say that.
To get better, I need to drink a couple of glasses. If I drink a couple of glasses, I can get more.
Well, next time we have you back, we'll have you take us through a tasting so we can learn about it. So
that's right.
it'll be perfect.
Awesome.
And we promise to do that. We promise to do that even though it's 8 a.m. our time. Sometimes you just have to invest in.
Sometimes you just have to take one for the team.
Can I say the last very thing and then I shut up?
Yes.
Never be afraid of wine. Never. There is nothing more simple than wine. You don't have to make it. You just have to enjoy it. Just take the time to enjoy it. Every time people tell me, "Oh, Nicola, I know nothing about wine. So may I ask you this? May I ask you that?" Like, dude, nobody knows anything about wine. Don't worry about it. And I say, and also, what is the problem? Like, what do you know about cheese? Well, you don't question yourself every time you taste some cheese. What do you know about the cow that you're about to eat? When you eat a steak, you ask for the name of the cow, how many times a day the cow was pooping or whatever. No, you just enjoy it. Let the wine talk to you. There is nothing special you have to do. Just enjoy it. It's just pleasure. It's fun. Enjoy.
And if you don't like it, you
dump it. You can dump the wine every time you want. You're not married to a wine. Dump it out. Move on to the next one.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Well,
how do we want to bring this to a close, David, knowing that we will definitely be having another conversation with Nicola?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for the conversation. I have learned so much today. I've made so many notes myself. And I want to respect your time and bring this to a close. But for listeners, we'll put a link on the show notes, as they say in podcasts. I've learned that in podcasts we have show notes, don't we?
Yes.
To Nicola's business and winery, so you'll be able to find out how to go to Verona alongside Courtney and I sometime and enjoy it there. But just, Nicola, thank you so much. It's just been fascinating.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the opportunity. It's a pleasure talking to you. I apologize for talking so long, but
no, that
they
was
were
the
very
idea. Yeah, that was the idea. And here in the U.S., I mean, we have listeners everywhere, but here in the U.S., the Nicola's wines are available in many, many states. So we'll do our best to fill up our show notes with all the ways you can find out more about Nicola's
Oh,
wine.
thank you.
Yes, yes,
Thank
absolutely.
you. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, it's the least we can do.
Grazie.
Thank you very much. Grazie and ciao.
Ciao.
Un bacione. Thank you so much. Grazie ancora.